Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 55 of Ilos, our modded Cities Skylines build. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And thanks so much for all support on the stream. We had a ton of fun putting together Buckfast food and drug here. This was a really cool little stream build, sort of like a gas station convenience stop with lots of prop detailing in here. And yeah, just some really nice times to be had, so thank you indeed. For hanging out with the streams. Oh, the flickering light with the alien there is a mood, isn't it? It really is a mood. Anyway, today, in this week's episode, we are flying over the hill and far away, quite literally. Because we are returning to the Western Downtown project. Because we've got a big space here next to Imperator's area, and there's also some space here that has been allocated for kind of generic outer-lying suburbia. But we're working with a Google Earth inspired build today, so let's head over there and see what's happening, shall we? And welcome everyone to Northeast Phoenix. So downtown Phoenix is over there, where you can see we've got Main Street up along here, a golf course suburb, etc. So kind of in Phoenix's east, but it's west Ilos for us. You may recognise this asset. So this is the Phoenix Children's Hospital, and this is the asset that the vanilla base game hospital is actually modelled off of. You might not know that, but it is. It's the same asset here. But we've got quite a few hospital complexes in Ilos already. We have the Exine Carina Memorial Hospital. There's the Valley Lad Private Medical Care as well, but we don't have like a little suburban complex like this. And there's some really cool ideas happening here. There's a lot of multi-story going around, a lot of different parking ideas and configurations that we can get involved with. There's some really cool road detailing, especially up out the front here. We'll definitely get a street view going on. Let's pop on this main junction. We can also get a sense of our lane mathematics out the front here as well, using our American asymmetrical roads. But there you go, you know, lots of palms out the front, some nice little roundabout action to be had, so there's a lot of inspiration that we can take for this build today from Google Earth. Otherwise, let's build the Ilos Children's Hospital, shall we? Okay, so let's get today's build started by using one of our plain roads here. So I like to respect something of a sightline if I can, and there's kind of a natural one that's happening here, right down Imperator's sort of field of view. So I think this is where I'm going to take it. So let's just come straight down here, find a node roughly where we want it to be. Let's just start drawing out. So again, I can see in Google Earth that there's that little kind of roundabout here at the entrance, so that's definitely something we want to factor in. So rather than doing two roads into it, because that's kind of how it looks in Google Earth, we can achieve the same thing with node control and intersection marking tool. So let's grab our American roundabout roads, of course, and I think we'll go for a 4 deep roundabout here. Cool, and then we want to come into node controller, and then this is what we'll do with our sort of main entry nodes. I think we're going to offset them all by quite a distance, maybe to 19 meters each. I think that's going to be good. And then we can find the other node here. Let's use our freeform tool to line up the guideline roughly with the shape of the grid. And then if we come down, and then we know that we need to search for a parking garage here, which we already have done. We can place this down. Let's give it a reposition. And then we'll briefly have a look at what the aesthetic of the front of our hospital is going to be like. We can line that up so the cars don't collide, of course, with the road with the pillar in the middle there. And then we get the hospital itself, of course, which is this one. It's not quite as the same scale as it is in Phoenix, I don't think. It's maybe a little bit more sort of reduced in size, but we can still make it work. Cool, so we'll get this up front, of course, and we'll do lots of detailing and flowers and trees out here to bring it in line. But I do like that aesthetic of a roundabout is such a nice way to open a facility, just like if you're doing like a specialist build, like a hospital or a university or something. Especially if you've got node controller and intersection marking tool as well. You can make your roundabouts a lot more interesting. So again, we'll hide the markings here, and then we'll see if we can offset everyone. We need to be careful not to squeeze the nodes too tight, otherwise the traffic will start having issues. Okay, but I'm happy with that. A little 90-meter offset on all coloured nodes, and everyone should be happy, I think. But the fun doesn't stop there, does it? No, it doesn't. So let's grab ourselves some 60-meter parking lot service road. Yeah, we find that next snap node here, and let's just go for about there. Is that going to be okay? Maybe a touch further if we need it. Actually, I'll tell you what I would like to do with this road first is align it with the frames of the arterial casings around the edge of it. I think that's going to give us a nicer aesthetic, isn't it? There we go. So let's make sure that we are aligned to that 45-degree angle there. Then we'll get some parking lot roads in here as well. So again, I think Google Earth is such a treasure trove of inspiration for parking lot configurations, especially in Phoenix, because obviously there's just so many. There's so many car parks everywhere. But certainly for playing modded and not just doing straight lines of car parks everywhere, Phoenix has been a wonderful inspiration for it. And then for a good chunk of the rest of the facility, we've got a couple of options available to us, and we can start piecing together other medical assets sort of in and around the complex. Certainly things like child healthcare centres will work really nicely here. Gymnasiums, the Korea crematorium doesn't look like a crematorium, kind of looks more like a medical building, so you can use that here too. Some fused office zoning would go a long way. We'll get some different ideas in together here today. But I'm happy with the configuration of the front in general. We do have a little bit of grass knocking about here as well. So let's see if we can bring that in. And then we might also have some palm fun around here today as well, hopefully. See if we can get those palms in now. So again, just referring to my inspiration on Google Earth, there is a lot of palms here. And I think a little prop line tool here, again, quite tightly. Which isn't something we usually do, so I guess it's going to be quite a cool, unique aesthetic for this particular sort of complex and facility. I don't think that's too bad. Right, it's certainly starting to take on a shape now, isn't it? We've got this sightline developing through Imperator's area. I'm pretty happy with that, I think. It's pretty cool. Cool, so let's grab that road again. This one here, and then I'd like to just now start bringing in the very sort of edge casings of Ilos here, because things are going to need to change. We'll upgrade this into this one as well. You can just go straight through. There's no reason why you can't do that. I would also like this road here, though, to come down into the facility as well. But again, I want to make sure we're on a right angle from the arterial casings, so we will do that first. Let's make sure we got there, and now we know we're connected. And then I think with the spaces around the hospital, we've kind of got one here between the highway, and then here between the zoo and the metro line. I do want to save some room for kind of generic outer-lying Phoenix suburbia. We see the impact this has when it surrounds our major builds like this. It makes a real difference, doesn't it, when you've got that just suburbia, especially when we look at the governor's office and downtown, of course. It all makes a difference in that kind of grander, sort of realistic looking plan, is to have that outer line housing. It's an enormous sort of difference maker. Cool. You even see the little complex from over here as well now. Sort of pops out the suburb, doesn't it? That's what I like to see. That little sort of rise in height there. Yes, please, everyone. Okay, everyone. So let's carry on bringing some support roads into the complex. I've also upgraded the front of our hospital here into our classic American asymmetrical systems, the road pack that we're working with for Ilos. So I'd like to bring another little service road into the area. So we're going to be using our median yellow roads for this. And again, I can see just sort of how they flow and change in Phoenix. So I'm going to take inspiration from that, I think. I want to come down into a smaller road after this one. Cool. So we're going to get a nice little merging of the paint on the road there, which is really nice. And then again, it's just kind of more car parks. So we're just going to keep using parking lot roads to sort of keep fulfilling the parking here. And hopefully we can fill this area with enough assets so that it sort of actually gets used, because it'd be a bit disappointed. This is a really quiet area, but we'll have to wait and see. So I just want a really slight curve in this road. Then let's bring it down from here, and then hopefully that freeform of the road guideline should see us home. Cool, slightly more interesting. And then let's go ahead and grab those parking lot roads as well now. Let's go for this one here, hopefully. And don't really need any snapping here. We'll do this one manually, and just want to line it up so we're about here. Okay, and then a little bit of node control there will do wonders. Square everyone off. Cool. Then we've got more parking space over there. Again, this looks like a good point for another medical asset to come in, maybe. Go ahead and throw down the European Med Clinic. I always like this one. It's a nice little medical asset, this. And then I like to sort of round out the complex here. Okay, so let's have that one there. And then I'd like to try and factor in a little bit of sort of like green recovery space all across the facility. It's something that we've kind of done in all of our medical theme builds, if you like, based since Biguzia, which was ages ago. So I want to see if we can bring it in, just like a little bit of recovery space. Let's give them some nice sort of recovery assets, I guess is the word. Gazebos, etc. Right? Sick people love a gazebo, right? So we'll have that one there. And then I think we can find some choice fencing for the area. Let's go for this cute little medium fence, and then we'll stick it on a prop line tool fill. And I hope that with this, we're just going to get this nice little sort of reserved garden with some trees and palms in it as well eventually. Where do we want this to go to? Let's reserve it to the edge of the car park, shall we? Something about there. Okay, and then if we piece together now some of our favourite trees, a couple of live oaks will do nicely around here, I imagine. Let's go ahead and get those in. A little jacaranda as well. Some date palms and a cottonwood. Trees of the world, if you like. Some California's in there as well. Let's not forget that we are in Ilos after all. Cool. And hopefully now as we start to sort of see this from the street level and looking across from our farms here, we're quite clear on exactly what it is we're looking at. I think it's cool, right? Love the multi-story view from here as well. That sort of larger hospital. Just sort of thinking actually, you know, the high capacity hospital from Plazas and Promenades is like a really nice asset. It's like the Phoenix one on steroids, isn't it? It looks a lot more like a hospital. So I wonder if there's some possible fusing of assets that be had between these two, because their backs are possibly fusible, you know. So I know we're sort of basing this off Phoenix Children's Hospital, but this one right here looks like a much bigger, sort of impressive frontage to a hospital complex, doesn't it? We haven't really used this one in Ilos yet. We used it in the Noob's Guide, but not really here. Oh, I love the little walkways over it as well. What would it look like? Let's just test it. We're going to see what this looks like now. If we were to fuse these two together to create a larger hospital complex, is it an appropriate fusing or does it look very unnatural? I'm thinking if we can line up these two sort of white columns here, that might look a little bit better, I think. I mean, it certainly brings the more modern sort of angles and shapes to that building, doesn't it? And then it also gives us a lot of sort of Red Cross vibes as well. I don't think I hate it. I think it's okay. I think it's alright. I'm still squinting. It's not quite settled in yet. Hello, train. Well, metro, rather. Okay, I think we'll leave it in right now for the rest of the build. And then we'll just see how things develop for us. Wonderful. So let's use our small roads here as we come back onto the hospital complex. And then we'll start connecting all these guys together. You can just go back this way as well. Let's downgrade these roads. And of course, we want a lot of node control as well, just to square things off here and widen the occasional corner while removing the markings. It'll make the facility seem a lot more impressive. But anyway, there's just tons more car parking around the facility, so definitely a vibe that we want to keep respecting. So let's do some of our fun node controller car park stuff, because this will always work nicely here. Let's do a 7x7 unit. Let's grab node controller, turn this corner here into a bend, and then close that offset. Then that'll give us a nice sharp number. Cool, and of course we will place all our car parks toward the end here. Are we getting someone coming into the multi-story? You guys alright? Or are you parking on my roads? You're parking on my roads, aren't you? Oh, no, there we go. There it is. There's the old faithful Ilos car park mechanics, right? Tremendous. I need to ban parking on these roads there. We don't want people here, so let's use traffic manager. Say no thank you, and we probably want to actually do that on every road around here, don't we? I will do that during the detail time-lapse though, so it's not pain. Also going to throw in another parking garage here as well. Let's go for our favourite. We could go for one of the downtown boys. I haven't really used this one yet, you know. There's a reason why. It's absolutely enormous. It's the same size as the hospital. Which I guess is appropriate for real life, isn't it? I think it's appropriate. Daily parking only $4. I do like it, but it's very dominant, isn't it? It is very dominant. I think we'll leave that in. I think we're going to leave it in. Again, it's kind of a main one here, isn't it? It's going to take a little while to settle into the build. But, you know, in Google Earth, we're seeing lots of different shapes and size of multi-story within the hospital complex. So we have to respect our initial sort of concepts and thoughts, don't we? Let's remove this highway exit here because this is very much in the way now, and then we're going to bring this one straight across and hopefully to meet up with this collector over here from Imperator's area. Wonderful. And then we've got lots of overgrowth and details to do over this way. But that slightly expands the boundary of our design here, I think. Cool. So let's keep our support sort of casing roads going on, and then we can start adding in some more medical assets. So I definitely want to include the medical helicopter depot here. That would be... Let's just throw this down here for right now. Okay, we could possibly afford 2 of these. Is that a repeated pattern that's going to look sort of too much, maybe? If we're going to have 2 of them, and this definitely wants to be bobbed as well, so we can remove those crap vanilla trees. But if we just wanted to merge the chain link fencing together so we get sort of an expanded helicopter depot, I don't think I'm going to hate that. I think that's going to be alright, isn't it? Yeah. yeah, it's all these signs make a massive difference. Right, just custom signage to a build really improves it, and I love that we've got this little medical heliport here. Again, it's all the Red Cross vibes, isn't it? It's all slowly piecing together. Tremendous. Cool. So let's carry on piecing together some more intricate sort of inner complex road network, because there's some really quite fun things happening at the kids' hospital in Phoenix in terms of the road network. So let's go for a little 3 curve here, right? And then we'll grab a regular parking lot road. And just a small amount of parking here. Let's go for maybe like 4 units, right? Basically nothing. It's really small. And then we'll do a parking lot road back into that area. That's quite small. That might need a little bit more than that, actually. Might have underestimated that one. Let's do that one again then. Let's go for like 6 units. There we go. That's more what I'm after. Right. And then I want to use these 16-meter poorly maintained. So if we go this way here, the cars drive on the dark side of the road. Then like to do 3. And then 3 again. And then hook that straight back down into there. Okay, and then we can place another asset here. Let's decide which one we want to use. Let's go for the gymnasium here. It looks like it's going to fit there, is it? It'd be perfect if it does. Yes, it does. Fantastic. Okay, so we'll have that there. And then again, I want to start merging in some larger office zones now. So perhaps an office fusing would be welcome here. But that just gives us a really interesting sort of frontage to some of our buildings, doesn't it? Just by playing with the roads like this. We'll of course do some really tight sort of car park configurations here. Let's upgrade this one as well. And also the service roads into poorly maintained if we're going to be keeping them. Let's make sure we use service road here though. There we go. So I'm playing with a lot of these West Coast office assets, which are really cool. You can piece together some really interesting sort of shaped buildings from these. So I think that's what we'll do. We'll just go ahead and piece together 3 or 4 of them, create a nice little crawling height for the complex, and then see if we can merge this onto the side of our gymnasium here. Hopefully it's going to be a pretty seamless merge. Yeah, that's what I want. And then lots of service painter. Probably need a little bit of building spawn points work there for the burden on the end. Yeah, let's make all this concrete. We can do some really nice concrete detailing decals through here when we make walkable spaces for the complex in a second too. That's going to be some fun detailing. And then we can do these, of course. Don't forget, if you want to do something a little bit more interesting with the networks around the gravel, definitely do some of your themed gravel painter here, because it'll have a nice effect. Cool. I wonder, are you guys going to be always like that? I wonder if there's a different road that doesn't have that decal overlay. Okay, I think we'll go for vanilla then, just for this particular section where I'm doing the surface painter work. And then we'll hide any annoying inconsistencies. You see that node control right there? That's what you want to be careful with when I was talking about earlier. See, when your sort of node brackets are red, that means that the node is too close to the one next to it, and the AI will kind of struggle navigating that. But on such a small parking lot road, we shouldn't really have an issue with it, so it can be acceptable there. Cool, let's drop some little grasses, right? Okay, I love a bit of road network detailing. Let's do this together. A little bit of bush is always welcome here. Same thing over here again as well. So we get some more colourful sort of bushes knocking about in these spaces too. Perhaps some of these cute little smaller trees as well. Definitely a long sort of brown desert grass. I think I mentioned it on the stream as well last week. I'm really going to miss playing with Ilos's tree palette once it all ends. I've loved the cactuses and the palms. I could definitely see myself building another desert city in the future. Right, but look at that. How much more interesting than is this car park configuration compared to just like this stuff, which looks cool and has a place, definitely for sure. But Google Earth, I'd have never put this together without looking at Phoenix. So it just goes to show how powerful it can be in creating sort of authentic looking builds in the city. Let's go ahead and grab some parking spaces for it so we can see what it looks like. I think this right here, everyone, could be my favourite Ilos car park ever. This is a really cute configuration. We'll definitely have to remember this one. So we're also going to throw in the Ilos flag as well. Okay, we'll have that here. It's not going to be too bad. But I love that, right? How cute. What a fun little road and parking design that is. Little semicircles and straight bits coming out. Really happy with that, I think. We got lots of ambulances going from here now too, which is great. Let's double check our spawn point on this one here. Let's go ahead and grab node controller. Spawn points even. Yes, you will need to be amended, won't you? Otherwise you will complain. So let's just move their spawn point over towards the road so they get all the services. These guys should be okay. Maybe just need rolling forward a touch more, but other than that, everyone should be happy. Cool. Tremendous. But it's starting to piece together now, isn't it? I'm pretty happy with it. It's starting to sort of, you can definitely tell what it is with the red cross over here, can't you? Especially when you kind of sat in the school here. Yeah, it's really cool. Imperative suburb between it. Yes, I love that. That was very nice. Huge fan of it, everyone. Oh, looks like the what, police, not police, ambulance are coming here. Oh dear me. Straight back to the hospital. Yeah, so at least it's a fast service, isn't it? At least that, right? You can't really complain. And here is a bus. Wonderful. One of our new articulated buses heading down the road. Tremendous. Oh, I love that view out to the casino reserve over there as well. We never really experience or appreciate the sight lines around this part of Ilos because we're very rarely out here. I love that you can see the casino reserve out in the distance. And you got, hopefully, a really cool sight line all the way down that road, of course, which goes right the way back into downtown. Which is just fabulous. That's so cool. Huge fan of that, everyone. Huge fan of it. But either way, our hospital complex is slowly piecing together here, isn't it? I think I'm happy with it. So I'm just glancing back at Google Earth again, and there's definitely some sort of like delivery space here. So I definitely want to see if we can factor that into the build itself. So let's grab ourselves one of these roads again, okay? And we kind of want to border off our multi-story here now if we can. Let's go for here. That should be grand, and then... Oh, you're going to be okay there? That node might be a little bit tight, but we'll come to review that in the end. And then I'd like to see if we can do something with these. So we do have the 2-lane plain streets now, which are quite fun little assets because they're essentially just concrete roads, like the concrete surface painter, which allows us to blend in an area much more effectively. So I think we'll go with the medium warehouse. Yeah, it's just, I think it's an appropriate size for the facility we have here. Again, let's turn on our warnings as well so we can see it's disconnected. That's going to be disconnected there, but it should be connected at that point. Tremendous. I think I'm happy with that. And then there's a ton of prop detailing to be had around here as well. There's also like a pretty significant sort of brick fencing around the whole delivery area as well. So I think I'll do this with modern fence. Should be a vibe that I'm after here. Bring across different areas and then hope to just box it in, and that should start giving us that sense of facility, shouldn't it? Tremendous. Let's also bring off another connection here again as well, because I'd ideally also like to have a little bit more parking alongside here as well. So let's see if we can do that. Let's go for 10 units. Cool. We can blend this in as well with decals and whatnot. And then a ton of surface paint so around that should see us home. And then lots of prop details we had in here as well. Trucks, containers, etc. It looks like there's also some sort of gas that's stored on site as well. Imagine it's obviously maybe oxygen or some sort of medical gases that are needed for operations, etc. I'm not entirely sure of the exact reasoning, but definitely some sort of silo here would be appreciated as well. Cool, yeah, and then we can box it off with this fencing that we've got around, and that's going to give us a little delivery area here, isn't it? Let's see if we can go get ahead and line up a few trucks and just see what we're looking forward to here. Cool, so I think something along those sorts of lines is really going to do us a job, isn't it? It's always fun having little bits of like industrial part detail along this area, or these sorts of builds anyway. And again, plenty of inspiration to be had in and around Google Earth, of course, for things like that. Cool, so our complex is really starting to fill out here now, isn't it? There's definitely one thing more I want to bring in, and I think this is a sort of a little kids play area, if you like. I think that'd be quite a nice thing to have in and around a children's hospital. Just some sort of recreational grounds where they can come and enjoy the outdoor air for a little bit, right? Let's go for little playgrounds here. We'll also have a trampoline park in as well. From Park Life, of course. I think some tasteful sort of vanilla walking pathway here. The gravel one at least will be a most welcome addition. There's plenty of little part details and nuances we can get involved with here. Especially with all the props that we'll have available with Find It, of course. Let's definitely go for a tree, perhaps some sort of memorial tree maybe. Maybe a little jacaranda here on the corner. Go for one of these little numbers, a little high level bench perhaps, right? And then we'll just have these on the corner of our pathway. And there's just so much stuff we can do here now. We can filter down into our props if we want and grab our park stuff. And then we get all these little pavilions as well, of course, to place down. And we do get the swing set as well with Find It, merry-go-round, etc. And we can construct our own little playgrounds here, and I think a little bit of, again, just tasteful fencing around the edge of this will just help sort of segment it away from the rest of the facility. I think a bit of white wooden picket is going to go a long way. At least for me, anyway. Have that there. There is something about a white picket fence that really resonates with me. It's one of the better fences. It's a shame we don't have one in vanilla, really. Considering, like, white picket fence is like the original fence, isn't it? I think the old white picket. But we're getting a sense of it in here anyway. And I think lots of fun trees around here, sort of things for kids to climb, etc. Enjoy the outdoors if they're here at the facility receiving treatment. Let's go for this one here, and then plenty of palms and whatnot knocking about. Iron bark in there too. Cool. And then we can just have this little sort of open green space within the facility. I love that you can see the helicopter. Oh, there's one taking off too. That's so cool. Yes, I love that you can see that helicopter depot across the lawn there. That's really nice. And then they're going to take off and leave the facility, enter the absolute sky war that is going on in Ilos because of the Sky Harbour. Right? Airport's way too busy. It's too much. Made that airport too big. That's a lesson in sort of public transport infrastructure, isn't it? Otherwise, guys, this feels like a fun place for a detailing time-lapse. Just want to round out the rest of the facility now. Lots more surface painter and detailing, some walkable detailing space through here. Get all of our parking knocked up. And then in this space here, because I don't want this to be empty today, we're just going to do some more classic American suburbia, probably American eclectic out here. Exactly the same as we did in the outskirts of the governor's office. Okay, just so we have that surround to the build, you know. That's very much the vibe we want to recreate, isn't it? And a little bit of a moment of appreciation as well, perhaps, for the view to Ilos' downtown now from the west. Over this is the east side, isn't it? Really like it. Really like it. Superb, but otherwise, let's detail up at the hospital complex. And then we'll be right back. Okay everyone, let's have a detailing review, shall we? So as we emerge into the front of the hospital now, we've dropped in some Japanese assets and some regular office zoning just to help create an expanded complex, and we'll have a little look at what else is happening over there in a second. I brought in a little hedge boundary and left some open green space between sort of the arterial frame and the sort of rest of the facility itself. And then into our roundabout, we've got some nice little flower art designs in around with some palms and whatnot. And then also done some really basic 2-lane roundabout IMT with some gravel and some curb offset around here, just so those nodes are a little bit more interesting as people come and go from this area. To help fill the space, I've used one of the boardwalk pedestrian roads here. These are off the workshop. And just created like a lush Ilos garden between the car park and the actual kind of hospital facility itself. And it's worked out tremendously well. Like, this whole area is really cool. I just love the way it's flowed from like facility to parking to green space and parking. It's just a really sort of unique complex in the end. And often near these hospital complexes we find a little bit of accommodation for family with particularly sick relatives staying at the hospital, so they're at least staying nearby. And these little residential assets from the Hearts of Korea stuff, this one right here, is a perfect asset for that, because it has this like colourful writing on the side that says, you know, like villa. And it's, you know, sort of a little accommodation. I guess it's kind of appropriate. So on the fact that it's coloured, it really ties into the fact that, you know, we're basing this off of like a children's hospital in Phoenix. So I'm really happy with that. Really kind of perfect use of the asset and a little bit of residential demand in here as well. Really like these assets. And then we head down into the facility following our roads. Love these road markings here as we come across. And then we emerge onto this fun little rock garden greenbelt design that I've used a lot of the single line rocks to help detail the boundary, and then lots of colourful trees and palms here. And it's a really nice kind of separator away from the road here, from the main multi-story unit to the elder care over there as well. And yeah, really happy with it. I think it's really cool. I love this sort of design here. And then also dropped in some taxi stands alongside a little one-way network road, little one-unit one as well. And again, just taking inspiration from Google Earth as to how kind of the road networks are decorated throughout the facility as we do things like this. So I love these little bush rows over here as well. Then we also have some more walkable concrete space here with our planters available. And then our parking is now in as well in front of our gymnasium and office block buildings. And then also ended up moving the childcare centre because we ended up bringing in the nanotechnology centre, which I definitely think has that university, or I guess hospital vibe. Especially the fact all the tunnels are connected as well. Sort of maybe like a quarantine unit or something. But I really like that. I think it's a really cool aesthetic. So we've also bobbed it off and then filled in each of these spaces with a different tree. And then used the prop line tool to do rings of decals around it. So we just get this really kind of cool sort of sense of facility. You know, I say that all the time. But when you start piecing things together like this, it really pieces together and just comes what you want it to be. Really happy with it. It's just so good. Yeah, so happy all the way through here as well. And then we pop back over into the kids area now, which has had its props dropped into it, some tables, little ice cream vans, some more playground assets, etc. Just a nice green space for the kids before we dropped in some more little one-unit network road action just to help detail and create some cool pavement segments within the complex itself. And then also dropped in another hospital asset from the workshop that we've used before quite a while ago, though we used this in Ilos. And then we come on to our little industrial sort of detailing bit here where we've got our sort of traditional collection of industrial props, including like trucks and trailers, decals, forklifts, bins, etc. And looking again in Google Earth at the sort of delivery area, there looks to be a lot of sort of pressurized gas cylinders or containers stored on site. I'm guessing it's obviously for sort of medical purposes. I'm not entirely sure what's stored in there, but definitely tried to get some silo assets here. Then also noticed that they were kind of segmented away, so doing a chain link fence around them. And then also noticed that there was bollards in front of them as well, so you imagine they're there to stop any sort of crashing trucks hitting the pressurized silos, and then obviously them blowing up. And that's a really cool industrial detail, isn't it? A little bit of bollard and fencing to protect some silos. We'll definitely use that again. And that's a really interesting design that I really enjoy that. And then some generic industry in here as well, plopped in some of the silos for the ones that we needed, and then some flood trucks, Also flipped around the warehouse as well because I wanted the delivery bays here to face into this courtyard rather than this way. So it just flipped it around so it's now connected on the road from this side. And then we just detailed the yard over there as well. And then had a final big space to fill but didn't want to do anything too major here on the edge. So felt that the sub-building of the natural disaster response unit would be quite appropriate with some of that oil painted belt that we've seen in Ilos before. Indeed, before it spills back into the interchange and into the rural desert where you can see the municipal airfield. The flight departing there as well, which is really cool. And then you can see Williams over there as well. That's so cool. You see it out in the mountains with all the forest on the hills. Then the casino reserve. There's a really nice view over here actually from the casino reserve next to Imperator's area. Sort of looking out this way into the desert from the opposite way, and of course now one of the main views, this big key arterial frame that goes all the way down into downtown and right to the other side. So hang around for some special cinematics. There's going to be some nice ones today. And we've also named today's build after our wonderful subscriber Luna Ola. Thank you for all of your support, Luna. I really appreciate it, and we hope you enjoy having Ilos' main sort of pediatrics facility named after yourself. But otherwise, guys, that is going to do it for today. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed, likes, comments and shares below really do help me out. Even as much if you haven't enjoyed it, then please feel free to leave a dislike as well. Really happy with this build. Another cute main facility for Ilos. There's a few of these things knocking around now, these large medical complexes. And they're really interesting to piece together in Cities Skylines. There's a lot of inspiration to take from Google Earth. And endless amounts of it and lots of different creativity to be had. Please do enjoy your cinematics of Ilos. I'll leave some special ones in now the rest of the downtown has come to near completion. But otherwise, let's thank you all so much for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.